Hello there gorgeous gamers and welcome back to Pure Play TV, and we've got our review for Resident Evil Village, the latest chapter in Capcom's horror franchise. It's scary good and I'm here to tell you why I, a complete and utter newbie to the series, am now sold on Resident Evil, at least in its current form. Let's get on with it. My experience with Resident Evil in the past can be summed up as almost non-existent. I've played about 20 minutes of Resident Evil 7, and that was only because I wanted to earn some Game Pass quest points. Once I finished the task, I ducked out and never returned. I've also tried the PSVR demo for Resident Evil 7, and I almost shat my arse out. So yeah, I'm not a horror fan. I don't like being scared. I get scared playing Splinter Cell for goodness sake, so proper horror is not really for me. Alas, the job needed to be done, so I put on my big boy shorts, laid the waterproof cover on the couch, turned on all the lights, and got my Woody doll next to me, and I got on with the job. And you know what? I really enjoyed it, even if I did have to play half the game squinting through one eye. Don't mock me, you don't know the childhood I had. It was excellent, and I was never scared, so being scared is new to me. Shut up. Resident Evil Village is a direct continuation of Resident Evil 7, which I will be going back to and playing, but not in PSVR because I'm not a fucking psycho. The story revolves around Ethan, his wife Mia, and their little baby Rose. They are a strange family, and the game opens with Mummy Mia reading a really creepy fairy tale to baby Rose. My first task was to take the tyke to bed and then back down for dinner, except dinner didn't go as planned and Mia ended up smeared all over the kitchen wall as a fella called Chris Redfield came bursting in with his mates and their great big guns. Cue a loud "what the fuck" from me, and we're over to the village side of the game. This is where the creepiness starts, but by no means where it ends. Moving through the snowy forest in the pitch black had me and the missus holding our hands to our eyes. We knew something was going to jump out, we just didn't know when. And when that first monster did appear, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Mind you, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. See, despite my job, I've not really followed the news cycle around Resident Evil Village because, well, I've not been interested in the games before. I know they're about zombies and there are half a dozen shite films with the Resident Evil name, so I expected zombies. I really hoped for slow shuffling Shaun of the Dead style zombies, but instead I got hobo monsters. I found out later that they're called lichens, but I will keep referring to them as hobo monsters because it makes them less scary. The hobo monsters were just the start. It wasn't long before I'd mooched my way around the village into somebody's house, witnessed a raging fire, and then wandered into a castle of doom, all with a few light puzzles in between. Why Ethan didn't just turn around and call it quits, I've no idea. He lived through Resident Evil 7, so surely he must know he's in a horror game, right? The absolute idiot. Well, to be fair, not all is right with Ethan, but that's a spoiler, and I'm not going to ruin what was a proper shocker. The story is what kept me going though, not the gameplay. Moving Ethan around is clunky and the controls are definitely missing some finesse, especially when it comes to combat. I'd have been happy to wave the subpar first-person shooting mechanics away, but Ethan mentions that he and Mia were given training by Chris Redfield after Resident Evil 7, so I would have expected a bit more competency. Instead, the shooting feels wild and inaccurate, though it does add to the oh bugger, oh heck of the game's encounters. I never felt safe, even with a full clip of bullets in my back pocket and a shotgun as backup. I always felt that the enemies were just a touch too quick in their movements, despite being really clumsy, and that I was a touch too slow in mine, despite being a veteran first-person shooter player. It all came together to make Resident Evil Village a very uncomfortable experience, which I suppose is what you're paying Capcom for. Nobody is playing this one to feel good, I can tell you that much, especially when it comes to some of the subject matter. No spoilers, but Resident Evil Village goes to some very dark places. Speaking of dark places, Resident Evil Village has a few of them for you to wander around and explore. There's an old castle of evils, some dungeons, a waterfront, and more, each offering their own twists, turns, and horrors. There's also the titular village itself, which is made up of secret pathways and locked doors that Ethan can't bring himself to kick down. Despite being made of what looks like rotted wood, he still goes and finds the right keys, because he's a gentleman, apparently. The exploration I could have done with less of. A lot of it revolved around finding the right key or item to open a door or unblock a passage. Given that Ethan is chasing down the bastards who have taken his baby daughter, you'd think he would kick these doors down or jump over the locked gates, anything to get the job done. It takes away what little realism the game clings to. Still, I managed to keep an open mind, even after a certain event with Ethan and his hands had me rolling my eyes so hard they knocked my little brain around my head. That little realism that the game does cling to comes by way of the presentation. Make no mistake, Resident Evil Village might be filled to the brim with ugly creatures of your darkest nightmares, but it looks damn bloody good, especially on PS5, but even on PS4 Pro too. The world is atmospheric, sometimes to a fault. I'd get goose pimples just thinking about entering a dark corridor, and one section of a haunted house style location had my heart rate going at a very uncomfortable level. I still did it, but my goodness did I both hate and admire the developers for their mastery of horror during those moments. I wandered into Resident Evil Village a non-believer. Now I'm leaving, wondering where I should go next. Should I start from as far back as possible, or should I start my Resident Evil fandom with Resident Evil 7? Hard choices, but if you could leave a comment below and let me know where I should start, that would be something. And that is the end of this review. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful in some way. If you did, do us a favour, go down below, hit the like and subscribe buttons, and give the bell icon a nudge so that you're notified whenever we've got new stuff. Go to the info box for our social media channels, website links, and our supporters page, where you can support the team if you can. I've been Chris, I am not a scaredy cat, shut up, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.